The other day we discussed comparing the two kinds of diseases, physical disease and mental disease. And with the help of the medical profession, people try to abstain or avoid these infectious diseases. There's preventive measures. They make preventive measures, treatment, subduing the infection, and try to eradicate, so that most of the infectious diseases which have been torturing, oppressing mankind have almost been abolished, wiped out from the face of the earth, because they are afraid, they detest such physical diseases. Now, as for the mental diseases, they are not so aware of the dangers of mental diseases, so that they don't know how to be afraid or detest them. And although they have ways and means to treat or prevent the physical infectious diseases, they are very slow in doing such things as regards these mental diseases. We shall discuss about this subject today. As much as we deal with these physical diseases, we did our best to do away with these diseases until they are uprooted. So do we need to deal with these mental diseases without any hesitation, with the means of abstaining, eradicating, or subduing, and so on, if possible, as quickly as possible and as fully as possible. Here is the golden opportunity. As much as one deals with the physical diseases, one must also not hesitate to deal with mental diseases. If possible, do it quickly, as fast as possible, and fully. As the saying goes, according to the wise, not being mindful, one allows mental pain. With awareness, one is free of mental pain. So this is the saying. Now, as for our mind, if we don't control our mind with the practice of Satipatthana, then even if we are mindful, if it's not effective, then we are bound to be afflicted with this mental disease. Just try to leave your mind uncontrolled, free-wheeling. Just allow our emotions to run. Then what will happen? Just see. Within a short moment, you're bound to see the effects, namely these emotions, negative emotions in respect of the objects faced, objects experienced, because you are not mindful. There will be likes and dislikes, elation and dejection about agreeable and disagreeable objects. Such is how you are afflicted with mental disease or diseases. Likes and dislikes about desirable and undesirable objects, love and hate, and so on. So as much as the object is attractive, it will pull you. You will become more overwhelmed with these emotions. They will come in, they will overwhelm you like waves, leading to at times to transgressive actions by body and speech. So that is why, because with not being mindful, we are allowing these mental diseases to afflict us. Now, as we note, sustain our mindfulness of every arising, beginning with the main objects, then as we sustain our mindfulness with precision, we are bound to concentrate our mind, and with one mindfulness, there will be one moment of cooling, tranquilizing, calming effect, 10 notings, 10 calming effect, many notings, many calming effects, so that you are free from impurities. As much as your noting mind is powerful, then you will be free of craving, raga, about agreeable objects, and dislike or dejection or dissatisfaction about disagreeable objects. There will be only your noting mind with you. Noting mind and the noted object. Same thing goes with other impurities. They will not have a chance. They will not have a chance to arise in your stream of consciousness, because noting mind gains the upper hand. So, as is said, guard your mind with diligence of every arising, then kilesas will not arise in your stream of consciousness, because you are protected. This is quite obvious from your own experience. At times the power of protection is weak. Then there will be likes and dislikes, elation and dejection arising in you about agreeable, disagreeable objects. Then you know at once. As soon as you know, you just apply your mindfulness. That will be for those. This can be done for those who are really dedicated, practicing respectfully and carefully. They will know at once through their own skill of mindfulness. So, for some people, as soon as the mind starts to peep, so to speak, peep into the some undesirable object, then you know at once, you just pull it back. So as soon as it arises, you just note, so that if there is this mind which is associated with raga, craving, you know as craving. If your mind is associated with ill will, excuse me, you know at once as anger or dissatisfaction. This is how you apply these measures, preventive measures, treatment measures, just as you're preventing and treating physical diseases. And yogi can experience with their own personal experience, practice. So the saying, hence the saying, with mindfulness, you are not allowing the mental diseases. So even if they come in, there is the method of treatment, of prevention. You treat it effectively and fully. Then all these objects, all these emotions will soon go away and fade away. And for those dedicated yogis, they can find it out through their own personal experience. In the matter of protection, it is better to do prevention rather than cure. In this direction, there are 2-3 kinds of energies. Viriya, as we have discussed at one time, Viriya Bala, 3 kinds of powers, I should say. Viriya Bala, Sati Bala, and Samadhi Bala. these three powers. Bala means powers. As regards the Viriya Bala, the power of Viriya energy, we have discussed the three kinds of energy, or three categories. The first category, the initial launching energy. This is normal energy, you might say. The startup energy, like you start up your engine. And then we have this, when you face difficulties or regarding pain and undesirable things or laziness, you step up your energy to overcome that laziness or difficulties. That is the second stage of Viriya. Then comes the third stage, that is stepped up by stages in order to reach the goal. So in this way, there are three stages or categories of energies. With energy, Viriya, with the application of Viriya, we are bound to grasp the object when you are noting. So that is giving rise to the mindfulness, power of mindfulness, Sati, Bala. You don't have to do it purposely. You don't have to cultivate Sati, Bala purposely, so long as you have this driving force, that is energy, alertness, ardent energy. Then you are bound to cultivate your Sati, mindfulness, so that it becomes sustained. The steadfast mindfulness will be sustained. With one application, one time, one moment application of Viriya, there will be one moment of Sati. With 10 moments, 10 moments of Sati, and so on. As much as you apply energy, there will be more and more power of mindfulness. Then this mindfulness will become steadfast and sustained without missing, and that is such as Sati Bala, the power of mindfulness. And with the power of mindfulness, the mind is bound to concentrate, fall calm and collected on the object of attention. As is said, avekepo samadhi. That means concentration which falls calm and collected, without any distraction, without any restlessness, without wandering. Instead, it falls one-pointed on the object of attention. That is the power of Samadhi. So, and there will be with the power of Samadhi, there will be no distraction. There will be consolidation of the mind on a single object at a time. That is Samadhi power. If you apply Viriya every second of the moment without missing a moment, then with the Viriya, it overcomes impurities by not giving allowance to arise. It repels or drives away the impurities. As for Sati, as we have discussed, the manifestation of Sati is protection. Or Sati is as a protection as manifestation. So Sati protects your mind from impurities. And with the Samadhi, concentration, it becomes, there's no distraction, no restlessness, no wandering. So in this way, you are cultivating these three powers, balas. And as you accumulate these mental powers, your mind will become more and more powerful. Then the mind becomes very much developed. There will be no undermining elements, no impurities invading you, even if they happen because of the power of pressure, so to speak, from these triple powers. All the undermining elements will fade away. And such is the method of prevention, method of treatment, and then subduing or overcoming, so that the undermining elements have no chance of raising their heads, so to speak. You're gaining the upper hand. As much as your preventive and treatment measures are properly shaped, this subduing or the eradicating power will be very strong. If one is not mindful, or in another sense, one cannot develop or apply this Viriya Sati Samadhi, which is Samadhi Khanda, which makes up Samadhi Khanda. That means concentration group. So, or if you are not mindful, or if you are thinking, as much as you are thinking, you'll be losing your mindfulness, and your kilesas are bound to enter. Then you will not be free from these impurities, such as avimodha citta, we have discussed at one time. The mind which is not free, or the mind under bondage, you might say. Only when you are continuously mindful will you be able to possess this free mind, the mind which is free, or freedom, vimukti or vimukta citta. Then you'll be free from the bondage of these impurities. As much as you are free, just like when you are free from your enemies, you keep the enemy at some distance, keeping it farther and farther away from you, so that this becomes a cause for peace, and again this peace becomes a cause for your happiness. So also for those who are very good in mindfulness, dedicated persons, who are very mindful, because they are able to note continuously, they are free from this kilesa bondage, and therefore they are in possession of this vimukta citta, free mind, or freedom. With one moment of mindfulness, there will be one freedom, and in this way you accumulate your moments of freedom. As much as you do that, your undermining elements will be farther and farther distance from you, so that you will be free from this undermining elements. Then you build up the momentum. So if you are not mindful, then you will not be free from kilesas. You will not be able to subdue or quiet down or tranquilize these impurities. That is quite obvious. At times, those who are dedicated, although they miss mindfulness for a few moments, no coarse, they will not be attacked by this coarse or gross form of kilesas. They will be free from such kilesas, and it's quite obvious, because they have their skill in their practice. Initially they have this the mind is free, or freedom, that is the vimukta citta, and they have built up this momentum. As such, even if they miss for a while, no course, they will not be subject to coarse form or gross form of defilements. The root cause lies in the strength of the Samadhi Khanda, the concentration group, which is made up of Viriya Sati Samadhi. And with the practice of Satipatthana, noting every arising object so as to cover up, so as to grasp or cover your object with your noting mind in its entirety, and note continuously. Then yogis are bound to gain the upper hand of these defilements. And it's given that Satiya Pareka Patikando Jinati Pabehe Akusali Dhammi. That means if you are mindful, then you are able to concentrate your mind. With this kind of practice, if you as regards every arising object, noting every arising object, and so as to cover up, or so as to grasp in its entirety, such yogis are bound to win victory, They're bound to be the winner. That is jinati. Win over what? Win victory over what? Win victory over passions and emotions. Papa or akusala. Unskillful things, immoral things. Papa means unwholesome things, impurities, which can pull you down, which are degrading, degenerating, degrading, undermining elements. So you win victory over these undermining elements, passions and emotions. So when these passions and emotions arise in your stream of consciousness, they will pull you down. They will degrade you, so that you become blemished, blameworthy. Now you have gained the upper hand. You are the winner. You win victory. That is jinati. So by just having this sati handy, I might say, keep it handy. That means you are living with mindfulness. With mindfulness, you'll be overcome these undermining elements which are bound to arise if you are not mindful. Then it's quite obvious that all these passions and emotions will not arise, and you are winning victory. You are winning a battle, so to speak. Then you win many battles after that, so that you become a real victorious victor of all kilesas. Hence this expression in the text, and this will be known through your own personal experience. These Pāpa Akusala Dhamma, as we have given in this expression, as given in the text, Pāpa Akusala Dhamma, unwholesome, unskillful, defiling elements. That is what is meant by this Pāpa Akusala Dhamma. They can also arise in other people as much as in yourself. What arises in other people cannot degrade you, cannot affect you. They cannot harm you. It is only these Pāpa Akusala Dhamma, the unwholesome, unskillful, undermining elements which happen in you, can affect you. Because they themselves, these immoral deeds or undermining elements themselves are not pure. They are undermining, they are undesirable, they are impure, and cause impurities in others, in those who possess these undermining elements. They can degrade those who have these undermining elements. You can see, you should understand this. So it is necessary to prevent from the start, do preventive measures, take preventive measures, and also when they happen, they have to treat them, and we note and abandon, then until they become weakened and subdued totally. That is regarding these undermining impurities which arise in you, not in others. So it is also said that in the text that you can become your own enemy as a result of these undermining elements which you have. No other. You are your own enemy and not others' enemy. Because this enemy doesn't come from anywhere. This enemy is none other than your enemy within. The enemy within is more dangerous than the enemy without. As for the external enemy or enemies, you can avoid them first and foremost. And if you take care, then you can avoid them. You can prevent But as for internal enemies, it's very difficult to prevent. You have to strive a lot in order to deal with your enemy within. And as the difference between the enemies and the friends, enemies will not do for your welfare. As for friends, they will wish and do for your welfare, and they will benefit you. It will be for your benefit. And as much as you are able to overcome your enemy within, it's bound to be beneficial, and it's essential to overcome your enemy within. With the practice of Satipatthana, it is not that it casually, not meticulously, and so on. Not to mention those who don't practice the Dhamma at all. There will be no protection. If there is no protection, they will be out of control. And they will be surrounded by enemies, especially the enemies within. So that when they face these impurities, passions and emotions, there is bound to rise these unwholesome roots, raga, dosa, moha in their mind. Then these things may at another time get out of control, leading to transgressive actions by body and speech, and obsessive actions by mind, mentally, so that they will not even get a little tiny bit of vimukta citta, freedom, free mind. And if he or she doesn't have this freedom, vimukta citta, then how can he or she get peace? It's impossible. However much this person, one may possess high education or great wealth or very successful in society and so on, because they do not have peace, they do not realize peace, they do not possess vimukta citta, they are bound to succumb to, or bound to be victim of these social problems such as tension, stress and so on, and dissatisfaction, because the mind is not energized, so that the mind becomes very reactive, responsive, very emotional, and with all these passions and dissatisfaction and things like that may arise, and they get out of control. The root cause lies in the lack of power, mental power. Or even if they possess to some extent, they don't possess enough power. And also they don't possess this stamina, spiritual stamina. This type of spiritual stamina or power of withstanding the vicissitudes of life can only become possible only when they cultivate knowledge, when they possess knowledge. Then, otherwise, when they face the ups and downs of life, loga dhammas, they become agitated with elation or dejection, elation about desirable, agreeable things, and dejection about undesirable things. They will become easily upset. They will become emotionally reactive, and that's why they will be floated, or they will be overwhelmed by these waves of ups and downs, waves of lobha and dosa, or loga dhamma. Loga dhamma waves will overwhelm them, so that they will not be able to stay calm and cool and calm, and they will all be involved in social problems. All the root cause lies in the lack of mental energy in their mind, in their body, or even if they have to some extent, and there's not enough energy or power. So as for the enemies, here we are talking about personal human enemies. We have to avoid them from the beginning. That's the best way. If otherwise, if it's the case of human enemy or enemy group-wise or state-wise or country-wise, and then it's not going to be a good thing for people who are living in it, especially when one country goes to war with another. Then people are bound to suffer. So such is the dangers of the mind. In this connection, during the Buddha's time, there was this King Kosala and his nephew, another king in another state, Ajatasattu. So there was some problem, the conflict, border conflict between the two countries of these two kings. So they went to war, they used force, and for 2 times King Kosala had to he lost, he had to run away. He got very much depressed because of this loss in the war, because he lost the war against his own nephew. So it's a shame. So he didn't eat anything, he fasted, and he wanted to kill himself, but he did not succeed. And the monks, Sangha, heard about this news and reported to the Buddha, who gave the discourse in accordance with in keeping with the incidents of the times. And the content of this discourse is that whoever wins, the winner who gains the upper hand, will also cause enemies. And as for the loser, because he or she lost, he or she will always plot to fight against the winner and collecting forces. So also for such person, he or she suffers, and this he or she causes enmity. So both ways, both the winner and the loser cause enmity. So they're bound to suffer. First, for the winner also suffers, and the loser also suffers, suffering loss and suffering and plotting against the winner. So, and winning with victory in battles is winning with weapons, with arms. They are not the real victory. In this connection, the Emperor Asoka, he was a winner at one time, but he won many battles. He killed many people, especially in this war of Kalanga. He killed 100,000 people, although he later became a Buddhist. But he could not administer. He was a bad administrator, although he won victory. People disliked him, hated him. Only when he was converted to Buddhism, became a Buddhist, and practiced and administered Dhamma-wise, he was able to administer those countries that he had won. He said, so good, so nice is the just or righteous administration. Instead of administering with a knife, he administered with the Dhamma, so that it became the Dhammasoka. That was his name after he became a Buddhist and he followed the Dhamma. He was able to administer with the Dhamma in a righteous way. So, because he was able to do that, he said he won himself. He won victory over himself with the Dhamma, which is a real victory, so that he can also control himself at the same time safeguard others or not harm others. By not harming, one will be safeguarding others. That's why the Dhamma victory is the real victory. Dhamma victory or Dhamma Vijaya. That accordingly he wrote this in this stone edicts, that Dhamma victory is the real victory. Then Buddha has given this Dhamma. If you practice, if you learn how to practice the method of practice and undertake it, then you are bound to possess this Dhamma Vijaya, Dhamma victory, winning over yourself, which will be very satisfying, and also not harming others, safeguarding others. That also is very satisfying. And for such victory, Satipatthana is the practice of choice in both the preventive and treatment measures. So the Dhamma enemy, if you want to win over your enemy within, then you try to possess this Dhamma Vijaya, Dhamma victory. Winning victory with arms or weapons or with force is not the real victory. Why? Because it involves lobha, greed. You want something, covetousness. You want another's property. You want another's country, and so on. This is not righteous victory. And also, while you are fighting to win victory, this anger, fury, dosa is involved. So in this way, not seeing the defects of these greed and hatred, but thinking that they are good things, they must be practiced, leads one to stupidity, which is moha. So these are degrading, undermining elements, so that for those who win also will be degraded so as much as those who lose. And the Buddha has said the Sukham Sati, Vipassana Sukham Sati, that is when if you leave aside these winning and losing with weapons which are not correct victory, you must tranquilize, you must calm down or subdue or cool your enemy within, which are very difficult. These enemy within and the fires within are very difficult to extinguish, very difficult to cool down, such as the raga, dosa, moha, the fire of craving, the fire of ill will, the fire of stupidity, folly. They are horrible fires, very difficult to extinguish, very difficult to subdue. So one needs to subdue them, win victory over them, not by means of weapon, but by means of Satipatthana, which means the three trainings of Sila Samadhi Panya, or the formula, the noble path of 8 constituents. So this is how one can win victory over oneself. One can extinguish the fires of kilesas which burn inside oneself, which are very difficult to extinguish. Once these fires are extinguished, then you're bound to cool down, and this will lead to happiness, peace and happiness. Hence this expression Sukham Cheti, you're bound to become peaceful and happy, both in the body and the mind, extinguishing all fires of kilesa fires. That is what the Buddha has said. For those who are not mindful or who miss mindfulness, or just wasting time by thinking and imagining, there is bound to arise this avimutta citta, the mind which is under bondage of kilesas, thinking indulging in past and future, not with the not following or not staying with the immediately arising object. In all the three tenses, that means past, present and future, kilesas can arise. Now this is how it arises. It can arise with the past objects. In the past, you may be just going back to the past, good things, good life, past unsatisfactory life, unsatisfactory conditions, and there may be gladness or sadness, or greed or anger. So although the objects are old, the mind, the thinking, you are bringing back, they become anew. Because you are not free from lobha dosa, the likes and dislikes, and all these passions, emotions can arise again in the mind. Although the objects are old, and one may be ruminating the past events. So instead of doing that, one must dry up these past kilesas, not think back, not go back to the past. Neither should you go back to the past, nor to the future, thinking about, speculating that you're bound to be there, bound to be a very good thing waiting for you when you go back, for instance. Yeah. And then also, somebody is waiting, asking for debt to be cleared. Then you'll be very sad thinking about this, because you are owing something and you have not enough wealth to pay back. So something like this. So this is fantasizing about the future kilesas, and the Buddha has given this discourse for those who are imaginative, not to go back to the past nor worry about the future, speculate about the future and be overcome by sadness and gladness, as the case may be. And also not to become attached to the present object, not to be attached to the present immediately arising object, such as seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, rising, falling, lifting, moving, placing, and all these things which are immediately arising freshly. All these objects, there should not be any attachment to these objects, no tanha, no craving for these objects, only to know the nature of mind and body. Otherwise you cling to, either cling to the views, or sensuous clinging, or view clinging, clinging as regards sensuousness, clinging as regards views, wrong views, a view of atta, self or soul, or this pride or conceit, one thing or another is bound to enter your stream of consciousness. The root cause lies in not being able to note and know the true nature of the immediately arisen object with the practice of Satipatthana. Because you are not noting to know the truth, you are not seeing the truth. That means you are deviated, you are sort of perverted, you are from consciousness, perverted from knowledge, perverted from perverted knowledge, perverted view, perverted concepts, and you are deviating from the path. So note with the practice of Satipatthana, the presently arising object, to know the true nature of the object, such as this is a noting mind, this is a noting object, knowing the mind and body as it is, there's nothing else besides mind and body, and also the conditionality, cause and effect, there's nothing else except the cause and effect process and the universal characteristics or marks of existence. Otherwise, if you are not aware of the truth, then you are bound to become attached. As the saying goes, ignorance breeds attachment, and awareness detachment. So when you are aware, you become detached, and then you realize peace. Hence the saying, Vipassanti Sukham Sati. Vipassana Sukham Sati. That is guarding your mind, guarding yourself with diligence of every arising, noting every arising, so as to extinguish the fires of kilesas. Note every arising object, and as the saying also goes, if you are not mindful, kilesa disease will affect you, will be affected by kilesa disease, and if you are mindful, you will be free of them. The Buddha has given this essence, and depending on this essence, the late Venerable Paṇḍitā Sayadaw has given this maxim, not to go back to the past, or not to ruminate the past, nor speculate about the future. Be with the present. That means the present arising mind, body, objects, to know the truth. And that means present arising object means at the moment of seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, and so as to overcome these internal fires, which is the most beneficial thing to do. So in the remaining days of this retreat, yogis are exhorted not to go back to the past, nor speculate about the future. You have only a few days left to go, so no need to speculate the future. The future is awaiting you. So be with the immediate object, and by doing so, he hopes that you'll be able to extinguish all the kilesas and realize peace and happiness.